It is full time in Lille. What was a very tight game overall, I've got to say. I think it was quite a tight game. France had won out 33 points to 8, mind you. This was cagey. They got some scores at the start and then a couple at the end. And through the middle part of this game, it was very, very tight. Um, we shall get into the analysis at the 4 minute mark. As always, give this video a like, get more people here if people like it. So that's good. Write a comment as well. Let me know where you are and what you're drinking. Let me know how you watch the game as well. Do you watch it on TV with friends, in a bar? Are you at the match? I can't imagine you'll be on this live feed if you're actually at the match. That'll be a bit weird. But anyway, let me know. And as I say, as always, we'll get into the game itself at the 4 minute mark. But before that, let's talk about some stash. I mean, I am on the record as saying that the French and Italian kits are always the best. And I think Italy have outdone themselves today. I thought the kit itself was great, but those stadium jackets, kind of American jock style stadium jackets, were absolutely amazing. I wonder if you can buy those. There's a link to the Six Nations store at the top of this video. Someone go and see if you can buy those in the Six Nations store because they are mega. I'm not sure if I've seen those before from Italy. I wonder if it was just for this red kit that they had today. I know they like a lot of design choices, all that kind of stuff, but that was awesome. And while we're talking about kits, the French looked amazing as well, as always. Does anybody know they had like little badges on their stadium jackets as well, like little gold flowers? It looked like. Anybody know what that was all about? If it was said in commentary, I've missed it. But yeah, so if anybody knows about that, let me know. This is what I'm drinking. This is a Chimenchko. I think that's how you say it. I'm still in Bulgaria. Enjoying the Six Nations as much as ever, even after England's result. Even after that. Cheers. Yeah, so let me know. Oh, we got comments coming in already. Alistair. What's Alistair saying? Messy game, full of mistakes. It was a bit, wasn't it? It was a bit. We'll get into it. I'd say in particular the second half that's true of. But it was like that a bit in the first half as well, for sure. Not a huge amount of flow in this game is how I'd describe it for the vast majority. Some nice things though. Ramos, 50th cap today for Thomas Ramos. He is an absolute superstar. I love him as a player, and he had some moments today, both good and bad. He was playing fly half as well because Jalibert was a late withdrawal during the week with injury, which meant a debut on the right wing for Gael Drian, the Toulon flyer. And he is a live wire, isn't he? That's the first time I think I've seen him, a couple of try highlights from him before. That's the first time I've seen him play a whole game. He looks like another wonderful French talent. A few more comments here. Alistair's drinking water because the whiskey's finished. Was that a whole bottle? No, I can't remember a whole bottle, surely. There we go. Thanks, Ellie. The flower is equivalent to our poppy for the war dead. I wondered if it was something like that. It did sound right. There's a lot of water and whiskey going on as well. Look, Ellie's on the water and she wants whiskey as well. Funny. Right, okay, we are at the 4 minute mark, so let's get into this game. And Eldrian got a great start to this game on debut. It was a great up and under by Dupont, box kick, and he got to whack Capuozzo on that very first kick chase. The ball landed, and he was right there to smack him. Capuozzo back after a long injury, and he got his club teammate, Anthony Gelange, doing exactly the same thing to him, not 60 seconds later. Tough start for Capuozzo, but he dealt with it well. In the 3rd minute, there's something that Italy do that not many other teams do. Actually, Bristol do it in the Prem, but they've gone away from it a little bit. They set up to what is essentially a very familiar like box kick scenario. It just appears most other teams are just box kicking, but Italy, every now and again, keep teams honest by running the ball from there. And they did it after the 3rd minute. It came to nothing, but this is the balance in a game. If you know what the opposition's going to do, it's typically a lot easier to deal with it. Italy keep you guessing, and it's one of the reasons I bloody love them. Absolutely love them. So that was a good, um, yeah, nice little bit of detail from Italy. Uh, Louis Liner, who has had a brilliant tournament so far in the air, got up to win an aerial battle and he batted it back towards the Italian side. It bounced through and through, went straight to Anton's Pont. He recognised the situation immediately, kicked over the top. Bilberry screeching through to score 7-0. I think that's 8 consecutive Six Nations games that he's scored, which is some kind of record. It just felt like, with these games, like the underdog, it feels like the underdog has to have a good start or at least be in the game for a decent amount of time. And that just felt like everything deflated then in terms of expectations for this game, certainly a little bit anyway. Uh, it was a Giuliani intercept after Thomas Ramos pass. He must have been watching that Wales game because it was exactly the same type of pass that Ramos did to great effect against the Welsh. Giuliani just kept moving forward, put pressure on, intercepted. He kicked through, which I think was the right choice. He was never going to get there all the way. And Melancello chased it down. And by this stage, just 10 minutes in, Melancello had already got 2 turnovers. He was outstanding again for the Italians today. I got asked in the previous show, like, why is he world class? What are the things that make him world class? And it's a weird thing, but it's everything. And he's actually also quite unremarkable in how good he is. He doesn't stand out. He hasn't got that flamboyant edge. Like, he doesn't run like BLBRE runs. He's equally effective in many ways. Plus he's tough. Plus he wins turnovers. Plus he can kick. So the fact that he's got a complete all-round game and he's pretty much world-class at all these skills, including breakdown work at the turnover, that's what makes him a world-class player. Yeah, but he does fly under the radar a little bit. He still does, which is amazing because I thought he was Italy's best player again today. And yeah, his partnership with Brex is something else, which is just a shame we're missing that during this tournament. The scrum battle was good. Scrum battle was really good. Italy, you could tell they were going for it, but the French held on early doors. Thomas Ramos, though, was having a bit of a mixed day. He kicked one straight out on the full, but almost directly afterwards, kicked a brilliant 50-22. That was after a poor Garbisi kick. The Italians' line-out was going really well at this stage. They got a lovely ball off the back, and Garbisi tried an up and under back towards the touchline and just hooked it a little bit. Garbisi, though, I thought was excellent again today overall, but that kick was not great, and it was a good opportunity to attack that as well from the Italians. So that was an interesting tactical choice by them. They like to typically keep the ball in hand, but yeah, they went for I guess when you've got Liner, who's been so good in the air, you might want to go to that a bit more often. So yeah, maybe that was that. Robbery had a lovely half break and offload to Gaeton. Shortly afterwards, Meafu, after a load of drives, eventually drove over. He is a massive man, isn't he? So big, so powerful in the carry. Because, you can be big and not powerful, and you can be big and not effective, but Meafu definitely is all those things. And he played the full 80 minutes, the big man. Fair play to him. And he was still going pretty strong at the end. Pretty strong at the end for a guy that size who rarely plays an 80. I was quite surprised. They didn't bring on Guillard until like the 74th minute and then only brought him on for Jelonch. So, yeah, I wonder what that was all about, whether they just wanted to push him in terms of his game time in a single instance. So, yeah, interesting choice that. Again, at this point of the game, the Italian lineup was absolutely firing. They were getting tail ball after tail ball. That led to a liner break up the middle after a little out the back play. But it was eventually, unfortunately, knocked on by the Italians. And talking about Meafu, we had the delight of seeing a second row forward try to kick the ball clear. He sliced it straight at the middle of the park, so it went back for not advantage, not over. And the French scrum, which they got a penalty for because Ferrari was really going for it on the tight head for the Italians. And it was a good battle between him and Gros. And he just, every now and again, he would angle in a bit too far or he'll get too low and lose his behind Ferrari. And that was the reasons that he got penalised a couple of times. But it was a proper good scrum battle, this. Italy really going after it, but penalised at that one, which let the French off a little bit. I've got to say, Leo Marin had a much better game this week in the centre than last week. There was a couple of times he got held up against Ireland and he just didn't quite look so sure. But he had some really good moments today, Marin. A great break down the right-hand side after some beautiful layered play that the Italians are really good for. played it back inside, and Liner, unfortunately for him, well, not unfortunately, because it was the French that really made this happen. Louis Bielbieri tracked all the way back to get the tackle on Liner, and Dupont was on him in a flash. So Liner had to try and do a double roll to protect the ball. Brilliant pickup by the referee to see that correctly penalised, but it was a great bit of attack by the Italians and brilliant defence by Bielbieri and Dupont as well. Menoncello made a break down the middle, and again, the Italians didn't have super good, super quick attacking ball today, not often anyway. So for Menoncello to get a break is kind of impressive in those scenarios, and that's just kind of what he does. He just finds a way. So incredibly strong and quick as well. That led to a breakdown where Dupont again showed his defensive capabilities by basically manhandling Fusco at the base of the breakdown, picked him up, wrestled him around. Jelonch eventually came in, I think, and just took the ball off him like taking sweets off a kid, and the French cleared. This was where the Italian line-out fell off a cliff. Absolutely fell off the cliff, because up until this point they were absolutely getting quality line-out ball, and it looked so well oiled, but they threw one over the top of their own line-out. Louis Bielbieri was on it in a flash, hacked it, and I mean, this is a slice beyond belief. A complete mishit, but it went straight to Gaetan, who hit it at an angle to go straight through the midfield. There was a lot of fortune in those moments, but my word, Gaetan looked quick as he went round the outside of Liner. Liner got back to cover, but the pass inside went to Ramos. Liner again was on the floor, got up and managed to hit Ramos really hard. But Ramos rode it so well. He is tough as nails, Thomas Ramos, as well as all the amazing rugby stuff that he can do. He rode that, got over for the try, and that was 19-0 after 29 minutes. And it definitely felt like game over. If, France do this, they'll score tries in bunches and then sort of drift off a little bit. And there's no question, like, two of these tries have come from quite fortuitous situations, break of a ball here, a bounce pass there, all that kind of stuff. They finished them amazingly well, but it's not like they've driven their way up the pitch and earned it like the Miafu try. There was a Capuozzo cross kick, which was half charged down line and nicked it just out of the grasp of somebody. Like, he gets up in the air so well. Menoncello kicked down to the corner, and this was another Thomas Ramos little bit of a brain fart moment. He tried to just slap it back to Atasogbe, who was already behind his own in-goal area. Atasogbe is a fantastic player, but he looked a little bit nervy under the high ball today. Atasogbe cleared that up reasonably well, got back over the line, but the ball dribbled out of the ruck. Capuozzo was on it in a flash to pick up and dive over for the try. Interesting point here in terms of the law, because the ball was emerging from the back of the ruck. And I'm not going to talk about it now. I'm going to talk about it with Matt later in the referee review. So go and have a listen to that one. That'll be with you later this evening or first thing tomorrow, because it was an interesting question. Dupont questioned it quite rightly. Good law knowledge from him, but the referee cleared it up and awarded the try. Now then, I've been not critical of Dupont. That's not the case. Just comparing him to his absolute elite best to where he is now. And I just thought, like, since he's come back from his injury, he hasn't quite been the running threat that he was previously. But that wasn't the case today, because shortly after that Italy try, French just took over, and Dupont's play with his forwards, just bringing people onto the ball, giving them a half shoulder to go on, tempting defenders to him to find a bit of space somewhere else, was outstanding. For, like, there was a period of about 3 minutes where he just did it repeatedly, and fair play to the Italians for somehow keeping France out during that period. They did, and the ball got sort of hacked clear. Jagu then did his best Thomas Ramos impression as the ball came to him, and he just caught it one-handed and then threw it back across the pitch. Garbisi got that one, and it was a decent chances for Italy. I think it was the right choice for Garbisi to kick, but he kicked it dead. It just went too far. Real missed opportunity for the Italians. But some of the French tackling is huge. And just like, it's not always obvious who makes the tackle, like as you're watching it in real time. But every time I saw an Italian sort of head backwards towards his own touchline at a rate of knots, you look, see the aftermath, and it's always, pretty much always, number 8, Anthony Jelonch, getting up off the floor, having belted somebody on the opposition. He is a menace. He's an absolute psychopath when it comes to tackling. He hits so hard all the time. Now, Francois Cross does a few as well, but it's almost always Jelange. Almost always. Netti was on for Gros in the front row, and the Italians now, they had the advantage in the scrum, but now they started to get it in the terms of the referee as well. This one was against Aldegheri. Pressure came on, he just folded in, dropped his bind and folded in. There was a pretty horrible replay angle from behind the French scrum as Aldegheri's bum went straight up in the air. Ferrari's got his traditional head cut as well. It seems like he always just grazes his head. And Italy kicked that one for 19-8. So from being out of it at 19-0 7 minutes ago, they've got that somewhat fortuitous try that could have been avoided by the French if Ramos hadn't tried to, be all Thomas Ramos. And they've got this one from a scrum penalty. So they're back within 8 points now. Back within 11 points, having been completely out of it, really. That is a big reward. However, Italy dropped the kickoff. Absolute massive moment, pressure moment, and France got the scrum, got the ball in and out, played a lovely back move, got Italy to bite in, and Gael Dreyan nearly got over in the corner, but he got tackled right by the corner flag, and that was half time. Now, at half time, the score's 19-8, which is, again, closer than it was a couple of minutes before, and France are well ahead on the scoreboard, but overall, the game was actually fairly even. In terms of the gameplay, in terms of who had dominance in territory and possession, all those kind of things. In fact, Italy might have been ahead on both of those factors. But France were just so clinical when it came to scoring. However, I was around about this time, I was worried about the Italian energy levels and focus levels as well, because they kind of go in hand a lot of the time. Backing up two massive efforts like they've done the last 2 weeks is really tough, and especially against a lethal French side. And I just thought they didn't quite have the energy, intensity, and focus levels of the previous week. And it was just costing them at times, just a little bit. And I was worried that was going to get worse into the second half. Okay, let's see. A few more comments here. Yeah, Alistair had his bottle of whiskey with the wife yesterday. Cheers, Alistair. Well done. Hope you enjoyed it. What have we got here? Sabine is in France and drinking a glass of wine for the French victory. Salut, Sabine. Oh, fancy. In France, Big Steph is in France drinking I'm going to mess this pronunciation up. I don't know how to say that. Fume is the second bit. I'll go with that, but I don't know the first bit. I'm not even going to try. Very entertaining match. Yeah, I found this match compelling above entertaining, because the flow wasn't great. There were a lot of errors. There's quite a lot of scrums and things like that, but it was compelling, and it grew in that kind of factor throughout the second half, to be honest. Because it started with Atisogbe, who I said was just a little bit nervy under the high ball, I think, and he lost one right at the start of the second half, lost the flight completely. It bounced into touch. The referee didn't see the fact that Atisogbe had touched it at first, but the TMO came in good time and just was like, yeah, he did touch it. And that, for me, is a great use of the TMO. Something like that is so difficult to see in real time if there's a tiny flick off the hand. But if the TMO can get in there before play restarts and correct, then I'm really happy with that use of the TMO. I think that makes a lot of sense. But let me summarize the next 30 minutes for you, because not much else happened than what I'm about to say. Italy lost their own line-out, that one that they had there. Then they'll get a scrum. They'll win the scrum, get a penalty, kick it out, then lose their own line-out. That happened over and over and over for the next 30 minutes. I'm not joking. I haven't got this. I've written all these down. I'm not going to count them up now, but it happened over and over and over. I'm not sure if Italy won like good quality line-out ball in the second half. They lost a lot, and the ones they did win, they knocked on around the maul or stuff like that. So it was heartbreaking for me to watch that, because they're working so hard at the scrum. One half of their set piece game is going brilliantly, and they're getting all the advantage they're looking for there. And then the other half of their set piece game, the line out, which was so good in the first sort of 25 minutes as well. They won some brilliant line outs. It looked so well oiled. And then suddenly they couldn't win a single one. So all those entries that they got into French territory, they lost the ball immediately. And that's why we had this kind of game for like half an hour or so, where, yeah, nothing much happened because it was turnover, 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 and yeah, you don't get much flow in that, and yeah, so it was compelling and intense, and the scoreboard was close enough that it was always on the edge, but it didn't really ever sort of take off as a game in the second half. One of the lineouts was quite funny though. Flamand got up to win it for the French. Miafu ended up catching Zamboni like a baby, which was which is quite funny. You don't see that too often. Again, scrum pen against France. Oh no, actually, France did win one scrum penalty because I mentioned Ferrari earlier. He was really driving low and occasionally slightly across, and he got a bit too low and a bit too across one time, lost his binder, went to ground first. But typically, it was Italy winning the scrum penalties. There was a magic moment from Antoine Dupont in his own 22 when it looked like he was in all kinds of trouble. I think it was Lorenzo Canoni who was bearing down on him. He bounced out of that tackle, beat another two players in no space whatsoever, got Louis Bielbiere away down the left-hand side, and there was so much space. So the type of situation where you just see France just end up scoring. Like the French players are so good when they got space, but they kind of messed it up somewhere, and that man Menoncello was the man to get in there to win the turnover penalty. Honestly, he's amazing. He's absolutely amazing. Italy lost their next line-out. There was a quick line-out. This was the only line-out they didn't lose in the second half, I think, when Capuozzo gave a quick line-out to Liner. He kicked it deep, and there was a lovely Capuozzo versus Bielbiere chase for that kick, a little bit of a test of pace. And Ramos came in to clear the ruck, taking Capuozzo out, and there's some brilliant commentary chat by Benjamin Kaiser, just talking about how, because those two obviously are Toulouse teammates, talking about how, you know, club teammates love to whack into each other in international rugby, and I really know what that's all about. Every time I've played against like a friend or a teammate, obviously quite a long time ago now, I used to always love that part of the game. Just get one over on your mate. It's such a fun thing to do. And Jelange got to whack him as well, obviously, earlier in the game, and he did it a few times. Capuozzo made a terrible choice to counter-attack. It was never on, absolutely never on, even with his glittering skills. There was enough French players there, and it was a chance, but Jégu knocked the ball on. Shortly after that, Italy ran again from a box kick situation, like I spoke about in the first half. And I'm talking about it again because actually they didn't get very far. But there's a key part of Italy's attack that maybe doesn't get talked about a lot. And I think it's Garbisi is so good at clearing rucks. To have a fly half that can get in and secure ruck ball as quickly as he does, I think is so valuable, especially from situations like that when the forwards might be already tied up. He did it a lot from kick returns as well, when people like the Capuozzo one before, like he gets in so quickly and he's strong over the ball. Italy line out not straight. Big problem. I mean, they've lost about 4 or 5 in the second half at this point. And interestingly, France so underpowered or under pressure at the scrum that France chose the line out from that situation. You can choose line out or scrum. They chose line out, not wanting to give the Italians the chance to attack their scrum again. France carried heavy. This was actually 62 minutes we're talking here now, and this is the first bit of real concerted French play, probably since they scored their third try. That's half an hour of play where they haven't really played much rugby, to be honest. They really haven't. France were carrying really heavy, forcing Italy into missed tackles, got the penalty, but that attack ended with a knock-on by Brobery right under the sticks as well, actually. Brobery played really well. It made some really good breaks, looked very strong on the ball, but that was a bad error. Just took his eyes off the ball as it came across to him. Italy won another scrummage penalty. This one was now Spagnolo, who was on the pitch against Georges-Henri Colombe. Line out, Italy overthrew it. Story of this half, honestly, it's quite remarkable how often that happened. Paolo Dogo was on the pitch, and he did a kick return where he just kind of got the ball deep left and then angled a run sort of diagonally across the pitch, and it was like a magnetic force, like the weight of gravity around Georges-Henri Colombe. It was like it sucked him in, and Dogo just ran straight into him like a brick wall and disappeared backwards fairly quickly. It's quite funny. Quite funny that he didn't choose to run around that enormous human, rather just straight into his chest. Louis Liner was yellow carded slightly afterwards for a deliberate knock on. He was offside as well, which the referee noted after the fact. It makes no difference. It's still yellow card, deliberate knock on, penalty, and yellow card. They checked for a penalty try. And let me know what you think about this one in the comments. Do you think it should have been a penalty try or not? This is another one I'm going to be talking about with Matt later on the referee review. So look out for that one later on. Interesting decision because there's a little bit of subtlety around this one. So that left the Italians obviously short in the backfield. They won the line. I think they kicked to the corner, won the line out back to Ramos, and it was a bit of a wobbly old kick actually. The way he kind of rotated the ball as he dropped it on his foot, and it came off all weird. But there was plenty enough space for Dreyan to catch it on the bounce and get over for his try on debut. And it was a lovely moment actually because, having watched the ball bounce in front of him, and then as soon as he caught it, he knew he was scoring. He knew he was getting that moment. So the smile came on his face before he'd even scored. Fair play to him, getting a try on JB. Fantastic work. And he was he was really good all day. France didn't really cut loose. So it wasn't like he had huge amounts of opportunities. But, when he got on the ball, he was good, defended well. Great debut from him. Gaetan slipped on a dogwood tackle after many phases. Oh, yeah, this is right. So this is the last French try, and they played a lot. Yeah, like that try at 72 minutes for Dreyan, that kind of killed the game. Yellow card, and then, 26-8, that was a game over. And you could feel the Italian energy levels just go down, and France lifted up a little bit more and got that final try from Gaetan for a 33-8 finish. And yeah, it was a good battle. It was a good game. It wasn't, like I said, it wasn't a classic. It didn't have a huge amount of flow. There weren't really any incredible tries. No, not really. There's not a try of the tournament today, I don't think, in this game. And there often is in France and Italy because they both play superb rugby. It was a week too far, I think, for the Italians. I just felt like that might be the case. And I wonder if Quesada looks back at this and will use this in future years and go, I can't pick the same 8 forwards 3 weeks in a row, especially if it's up against France in the third game. It's just too much. Because I think they were close and they battled really hard and they gave full effort, but their energy levels just weren't quite at the required level, I think. Okay, let's get into some more comments here. What have we got? Yeah, we got a comment here about ITVX with the adverts during the game. Yeah, it's an interesting one. It's only one per half. For me, I'm not concerned about it. Like, if it brings more money into the game somehow, and if it's more valuable to ITV because of the adverts, then ultimately they'll be more likely to pay more money for it. I don't think it really took away from the game too much, especially when scrum setups. And there's been a return to this recently where scrum setups are taking longer and longer. There was a period like that before. The refs got on top of it for a while. I'd like them to focus a bit more on it again now because it's taken a bit too much out of the game for me. Yeah, after worrying about the French scrum, they held up pretty well, but Italy's lineups were so poor. It was the obvious choice. Yeah, Italy's lineups after the first 20 minutes, like I said, 25 minutes up until that point, Italy's lineup was perfect. Such a strange turnaround for one aspect of the game. No player changes during when it fell off the cliff either. Comment here about Jalibert being missed. Yeah, he was missed, but I'm not certain it would have made a huge amount of difference the way the game went. It might have done. It's hard to say. It's very difficult to say, but I'm not sure it made a huge difference. It was just one of those games. It was a little bit stodgy, a little bit stop-start. What else have we got here? One about Gael Dreyan here from Tegsy. Yeah, I like Gael Dreyan. Not just because he's a Breton like me. So good he got his first try for France. Yeah, wingers always like to score, don't they? It's like a striker in football. Getting on the score sheet is so good for confidence and just all the things that come along with it. So I'm delighted for him. Well done to the young man. Yeah, Ellie, I agree with this as well. A lot of handling mistakes by France. There was much more than we're used to seeing, that's for sure. And it is unlike them. Yeah, they're so well oiled with that stuff normally. but they are so good. Yeah, they didn't panic. I agree with that part as well. There was, you didn't can imagine like if an English player, just for instance, made a silly error like Ramos did that led to the Capuozzo try. There'll be people screaming in his face saying, "Don't do that," all that kind of stuff. But the French just kind of, it's part of their DNA, so they just got on with it. And if there's a mistake one time, they know it'll probably be made up by a brilliant bit of play next time. So it's just what it is, what it is, isn't it? There we go. Okay, we shall call this a day now, because it's not just the players and coaches that have done 3 weeks in a row, it's content creators as well, like me. So I'm exhausted. And I'm talking to Richard Dixon very shortly, in about half an hour's time. Richard, who I had on to do the French Rugby DNA podcast, which has been really popular, just talking about like the historic source of how France play and why it's through their DNA, and why all the players are so comfortable with ball in hand and looking for space and playing what's in front of them, and all that amazing stuff that we love about the French. He's done a lot of coaching courses out in France in the Le Plaisir de Mouvement course down there in France. And he spoke about it really well. It got a lot of interest. And I think I've picked up quite a few French subscriptions as a result of that as well. So that's magic. So Rich is going to come on and we will talk about this game. And it's going to be, I think it's going to be, again, it's going to be about a bit about the French psyche, a little bit about how they're happy. Well, not happy. Well, yeah, maybe they are. They are quite happy. They were happy for Italy to have the ball for large periods, knowing that when they did get it back, if it was a broken field scenario, they'll almost certainly find a way to score. And that's pretty much how it played out, right? Like they got their opportunities to score early doors from a couple of broken field plays, got the other try from Mierfu, then just absorbed a whole load of Italy scrum pressure in particular in the middle part of the game. And then once the yellow card came, the field opened up a little bit, got their 2 tries towards the end as well. And yeah, 33-8 is a very comprehensive scoreline, but it felt like the game was a lot tighter than that overall. But ultimately, it's about scoring points. And the French are really good at that. And they were really good at holding the Italians out from doing that as well. So there we go. That is where we are at. So yes, if you haven't done yet, if you could give this video a thumbs up, I'd really appreciate it. It helps other people find it after it's finished the live session. It will stay up there so people can watch it again afterwards. That would be really appreciated. If you could just write another comment as well, that also really helps. And lastly, just thank you for being here. Appreciate you watching. Appreciate you being a part of it. Appreciate all your comments and the conversation that we have alongside it as well. That adds so much more interest for me, as well as hopefully for all you guys as well. So yeah, I've got the match report later on today, the ref review as well this evening. So there's 2 more bits of content coming your way. Look out for those. And I'll see you. And then I'm going to sleep for a week, I think, before round 4. All right. Have a great evening. Hope you've enjoyed your weekend. Peace.